Welcome to Horseshoe Bend National Military Park. I'm Park Ranger Matthew Robinson. Today we're here to commemorate the 207th anniversary of the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. At this site, over 200 years ago, 6 tribal towns from the Muskogee Creek Nation, Eufaula, Hillaby, Fish Ponds, Okchai, Okfuskee, and Neahka, came to this bend seeking refuge as the Creek War tore through their land. On March 27, 1814, General Andrew Jackson led the United States forces that attacked. On that day, over 800 Muskogee Creek warriors lost their lives. More American Indians lost their lives at this battle than in any battle in United States history. After the battle, this land became many things. In the 1830s, with the Indian Removal Act, the Muskogee Creek Nation was forced from their homelands west to Indian Territory. This land quickly became Alabama farmland. In 1914, the 100th anniversary of the battle, local Alabamians came here to celebrate the battle, because the Battle of Horseshoe Bend was the last battle in the Creek War, a war that opened millions of acres of land for the United States. Today, as a national park site, we preserve and we protect this land. We no longer celebrate, but we commemorate the events that took place here. We come here to learn all the powerful lessons this place has to teach us.
My name is Barbara Tagger. I'm the superintendent at Horseshoe Bend. We appreciate you joining us today as we commemorate the events of March 27, 1814, the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. The park decided to commemorate the anniversary of the battle virtually this year. The safety of the public and our staff is foremost in our mind in making this decision. So thank you for helping us be together virtually while staying safely apart. Local residents worked for decades to convince local, state, and federal government officials to preserve Horseshoe Bend Battlefield as a national park. In the 1920s, Alabama Power had plans to build a dam that would have flooded most of the battlefield. Concerned locals continued to raise awareness and work with Alabama Power and government officials. Their efforts resulted in success. The park was finally signed in 1959. By 1964, the park opened to the public, and now Horseshoe Bend National Military Park is now preserved to future generations. In the early days of the park, the history of the Creek War and the Battle of Horseshoe Bend were interpreted the way most military sites. The park focused on American victory, the glory of battle, the loss of Muskogee Creek land, power and culture, and the parallel game for American settlers. Battle tactics, American leadership, and a narrow view of American historical themes dominated. As a professional historian, I've been privileged to be a part of the evolving change in national park sites that tell more nuanced stories. We have, over the years, worked to eliminate stories that reflect broader view of history and embrace diverse voices and stories. We've added sites that tell stories of women and people of color, listen to the points of views of those who had no choice, or experience those historical themes differently. For example, stories of American westward expansion have tended to focus on the Euro-American settlement, the idea of finding opportunity in the mystical West, the building of American society. But not everyone had a positive view of these events, did they? Today's park themes incorporate the stories and point of view of those affected by the changes. Railroads, settlements, and expansion meant wealth, opportunity, and future to settlers. But the meanings for the Native Americans were much different. We want to explore all sides to the stories, incorporate these lessons more fully into the way we talk about history. We, as a country, continue to grapple with the cause and consequences of broad historical themes. National parks, such as Horseshoe Bend, provide a place to reflect on what we've learned, in the practice where these pivotal events happened. Standing in the bend of the Tallapoosa River along today's tour road, we turn in one direction and can almost hear the sounds of women and children, 250 of them, going about daily routines of the day, cooking, chatting, soothing the children. Just beyond the ridge, we imagine some of the 1,000 Muskogee Creek warriors working to protect their loved ones by building a barricade 8 feet high, made of huge pine logs. The prophets, or religious leaders, blessing the Tallapoosa River in hopes of protecting the people as everyone there prepared for the coming battle. When we turn in another direction, we look toward the river bend, and we can imagine the Cherokee, allied with the Americans, paddling stolen creek canoes from across the river into the village. When they set fire to Tehoka, the course of the battle changed, and the consequences reverberated today. As stewards of Alabama's first national park, we owe debt to gratitude to those early advocates that helped the park become a reality. Due to the work, we can all step foot on the same sacred ground that General Andrew Jackson and Chief Minowa stood upon, walk the battlefield and consider the stories that led them to fight and the legacies that resulted. We can paddle the same river the Creeks used to travel to visit their kin along the river systems in Alabama. We can walk the trail along the Tallapoosa River as it meanders downstream, turns sharply and flows back on itself, creating the famous bend that the Muskogee call the Horse's Flat Foot. Today, Muskogee can visit their ancestral homeland, reconnect to the land, and share their stories and traditions with willing listeners. National parks belong to all Americans. Visionaries in 1916 set their mission to preserve the unimpaired for the enjoyment of future generations. So we invite you to visit Horseshoe Bend National Military Park or any of our other 422 park units throughout the country. Visit, learn, and decide for yourself what is worth saving.
Howdy do. I'm T.R. Henderson, President of the Friends of Horseshoe Bend National Military Park. The park is Alabama's only national military park. It's located in Tallapoosa County, a beautiful rural area of Alabama, 2,040 acres wrapped around by the Tallapoosa River. One can spend all day paddling the river and exploring nearby Griffin Shoals and never see another person on the water. This is a very quiet place. The creek town of New Yucca set just across and up the river from the fortified bend the creek's called Tehoka. New Yucca was a significant, thriving community prior to the Creek War. Many of the town's inhabitants and allies perished here within the bend on the 27th of March, 1814, when an army of Tennessee militia, U.S. infantry, a large number of Cherokees, and allied Creeks surrounded the fortified bend, burned New Yucca, and totally destroyed those behind the fortification. The American Army's commanding officer, Andrew Jackson, gained much credibility here on his way to victory over the British in the defense of New Orleans and on to the presidency in 1828. The park stands as a commemoration to those 900 or so who died all in one day behind the log wall set up for their defense. The Park Visitor Center provides interpretation on who lived here, the fortification, and the conflict between the Creeks, the Tennesseans, Georgians, and neighboring Native Americans. The Battle of Horseshoe Bend was significant in the Americanization of the South.
You know, the reason I'm here today is to give a little brief history of what I've done here at the park and my association with it for my entire life, basically, because it was here whenever I was young enough to not even know that it didn't even exist. But the memories here are very fond. My grandparents farmed here on this place. We baled hay for our cattle, and the field here is where we got most of it for several years. My parents were here. My grandparents were here whenever the Miller Bridge was still here. Was here during the construction of the bridge, is here today. But one of the biggest things about Horseshoe Bend Park is it's a 2,040-acre reserve that's going to be here for my kids, my grandkids, and their kids. So that is one of the things that I really like about it so much, that it is a preservation for the future, to see exactly what a natural wildlife inhabitant could be, complete with the trails for exercise. The tour road is turned into more of a walking track than a vehicle track, because there's lots of people that come here to do that. So I really enjoy it. The river, I grew up here fishing, and that's still going to be here for the future, and it's a future site for our kayak trail. And the visitors that are coming to Tallapoosa County here to this park is phenomenal over the last couple of years. So it is an attraction that is here, and it's here for our future, and it's here for our kids' future, and I really have enjoyed being a part of it.
Hi, my name is T.C. Coley. I'm a member of the Tallapoosa County Commission, as well as the Alabama Historical Commission. Horseshoe Bend is a very important resource in our area. It's a great educational resource for our schools. It's a great tourism resource for our community that brings in visitors from all over the United States on an annual basis. It has a positive economic impact on our local businesses. For me personally, Horseshoe Bend is probably one of the more important facilities or places in my life. As an early student in Alexander City schools, one of the things we would do around the 3rd or 4th grade or so, we would have field trips out to local historical sites. And Horseshoe Bend, being our preeminent historical site, was a place we would come out and visit. And for me, Horseshoe Bend was important because it actually took the things that we used to read in the history books about Andrew Jackson, the Creek Indians, Manawa, all these other interesting historical figures, and it brought it to life. It's one thing to see pictures in a history book. It's something entirely different when you can stand on the hill where the cannon sat and look off into the distance where the barricades were located and imagine those cannons firing volley after volley trying to hit the barricade. You can imagine what it would be like to be a member of the Muskogee Nation and find yourself on the other side of that barricade, preparing to defend yourself against this large number of troops that were coming with not such a positive intent. So as a young child, it totally changes how you look at and experience history. So I think it's very important we have places like Horseshoe Bend to really make sure that we don't lose important parts of our culture. So often landscapes change, buildings are torn down, whole communities go away over time. So the service that's provided by the National Park Service and the United States government is vital in that it makes sure that we have these critical touchstones of history, these critical events preserved and captured for generations to come, and to lay the foundation for our common understanding of the American experience.
Peace, Jay, and welcome. The Muskogee Nation is so honored to join in the commemoration of the 207th anniversary of the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. This battle is significant in so many ways of who we were, who we are now, and to the future of everything we can be. We do not meet to celebrate, but rather to look back on pivotal moments where so many lives ended, but also where many journeys began, and honor this day. Our history is filled with so many triumphs that first needed struggle. Our songs and the lessons from our elders telling of pressing on and overcoming any and every obstacle in our path. As we look back on this significant day, we realize that although 207 years have passed, we are still learning from difficult circumstances. 2020 was a year that took so much from us. We've lost loved ones, and our lives have been interrupted in ways none of us could have been prepared for. Thankfully, survival is in our DNA, and although we may never get back some of the loss we have suffered, we know that our legacy is to endure. I want to thank Superintendent Taggart and Mr. Robinson and their entire team at Horseshoe Bend National Military Park for their tireless work in preserving this special place and its meaning to so many. The trust we have in this organization, knowing that a piece of our homelands and history is taken care of, is a wonderful feeling for all of us in Oklahoma. I want to thank Rayleigh and Butler and our cultural preservation team for making a connection to our original homelands our priority and forging the great relationship that we enjoy today. In closing, I want to reaffirm our commitment at the Muskogee Nation to make sure our citizens never forget where we came from. Through efforts, education, and collaboration, we can team with our friends and neighbors in the Southeast to prove that no matter the circumstances or the years past, you can always return and connect with your home. Mado and God bless.
Thank you for joining us virtually for the 207th anniversary of the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. We look forward to future years when we can be together again. We invite you to visit Horseshoe Bend National Military Park to take a deeper look at the battle, to learn more of the Muskogee Creek people, and to stand in the place where history took place, and to see what powerful lessons this place can teach you.